Well, welcome back to another episode of the Weekday Saints podcast. It's so fun to do these with you every time, LaQuisha. We get to meet so many people that are doing things that I wouldn't have known about unless they told me.
Listen, if I just saw him walking down the street, I would never have known that the story behind that person is as powerful and anointed as it is.
I'm really looking forward to this episode for you to hear it. Lawrence Sheffield is an amazing man who has a heart to serve others, and not just in the ways we normally think about serving, but through business. And particularly, he's got a heart for those that are in the blue collar space that are working with their hands.
Yeah, this is going to be an amazing episode.
Well, Lawrence Sheffield, thank you so much for being with us today on the Weekday Saints podcast.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you here. Well, man, before we jump into what you're doing for work, tell us a little bit about who Lawrence is. A family, are you from Chattanooga? Tell us a little bit about your story.
I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, a couple hours south, and actually today is my 10-year anniversary.
Whoa.
Congratulations. Sweet Frances, and she's from Chattanooga. And so we've always come up here over the years and just felt more and more at peace whenever we head up 59, and we had a vision. God gave us a vision of raising our kids here, and it's been sweet. So we moved here about a year ago, and we've got two little girls. Gray is 6, and then Lottie's 3.
You got your hands full.
Yeah, yeah. We today's last day of kindergarten, and we're in that mode right now. So if I look tired, it's because I am.
Girl dad
through and through. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, tell us what you do for work now, and how did you get there? What makes you passionate about it?
Sure. New Collar Training is my company, so I help recruit, train, and retain great folks out in the blue collar workforce. So I work with companies like plumbing, HVAC, construction. You know, if they have blue collar folks, that's who I'm working with. And yeah, I mean, it's just like we're talking about today, Weekday Saints. I mean, my heart is to see the gospel lived out at work. And a lot of times I get to do that through training. So helping folks step up their game and what they do, but help them see that, you know, work is what is a part of our calling, and we can live out our purpose as adults when we go into the workforce each day.
One of my heart's passions is the development of people in training. So when you say train up blue collar folks, my mind literally is a bag of Skittles that you open.
You want to partner up?
Right. Listen, it's like Skittles all over the place, and I'm like, okay. Blue collar, there's so many different sets of skills that are needed for the just the vocations that you named.
Yeah.
So what is it that makes your work unique, or what are you offering them?
Yeah.
In terms of training.
So a lot of times blue collar companies start with, you know, their founder in a work truck, and, you know, they blink and years have gone by and they've got 100 and something people working for them. And so what I try to do is help them remember their culture. So one, culture is the best way to recruit great people. It's the best way to train people, and it's the best way to retain people. In the blue collar workforce, there's like 40% turnover nationwide. And, you know, Gallup's poll on the American workforce says that 7 out of 10 Americans are totally unengaged at work. Like, let that sink in. 70% of people don't want to be at work. And so for me, I use, if they don't have core values, we develop them, and it's from, you know, the heart of the leadership team. And then what we try to do is recruit folks that have similar values. Because, you know, when people leave these jobs, it causes a lot of pain across the board, right? Like one of my mentors, Pete Oakes, talks about there's 3 types of capital, right? There's economic capital, is I need a job, so I need to get paid so I can pay my mortgage. I need to know that I can get a raise, so I need a track for me. Most people, what I'm finding is most people would rather take a little bit less money if they know that they have the opportunity to earn more money over time. And their social capital, do these people, do I like these people? Do they care about me? Do they know my kids' names? Do they have fun things that happen across the company? And the third type capital is spiritual capital. And so whenever there's a lack of values in a company, that's where I go in and help their leadership team think through those. Typically, I don't think, you'd have to have more than 4 of them. And in my experience, that's the best way to build something. We all love Chick-fil-A and here in the South. And, why is it that so many people love Chick-fil-A? They're a value-based company. And, I've been doing a lot of research, and their turnover is half of what the rest of the fast food industry is. And so that speaks volumes of what it looks like to build based off values. And then the second thing is we go in and I work with best in class partners that have the best tools out there to help our clients, take that training and get it into a modern format so that their employees and their team can digest it. Gone are the days of dusty old training binders on the wall.
And no one reads. No one knows
Yeah.
what it says anyway.
Yeah, and as soon as it's written, a year later, it's outdated.
Correct.
And so I'm working with some companies that are using AI in really great ways that are really speaking to millennial Gen Zs, and the older generations are loving it because they're getting a knowledge transfer so much faster, which makes their lives a lot better at work. So learning management softwares, culture, building workshops, really helping align folks, and it makes their companies more valuable. And so there's a lot of people that are looking to buy into these blue collar, sweaty businesses. But a lot of times they kind of show up and nobody's ready for that. So for me, I help them think about the end goal and think about what it looks like to really capture what they're doing, but add processes to it.
I mean, you were obviously she asked you a really complex question and you had a complex answer because you thought through this really well. And that doesn't just come out of nowhere. So talk to us about your vocational journey to get us where you can be an expert in this field and walk into a company. So what are some of the things that you've done in the past to get you where you are today?
Well, one, I entered the workforce at 18 years old, didn't go to college. So training has been really important for me, going from, a high schooler that I was graduating high school without a plan to I found the fire department at a really young age. At 19 years old, the fire department in Birmingham gave me a shot, and it was incredible for me. I mean, talk about training. It's you go in and they pay you to learn a skill, and then you get mentored along the way. As a fireman, my side hustles were always around carpentry, construction. Just most firemen, I don't know if y'all know any, that usually have 2 or 3 jobs.
Yes.
Right. And so they hire the younger firemen to help them. I was that kid, and I was building skills in my hands, my mind, and then ultimately in my heart. When I went into work April 16th, 2011, I was in a rough spot. My father had passed away in 2008, and I had a good job. I guess I was checking a lot of the boxes that we want to check as adults, but I had this huge just wound in me, and I didn't know the Lord. And on that April day, one of my coworkers sat down with me and shared the gospel with me. And for 4 hours, I tried to kind of argue everything he was saying. And then in that 4th hour, I was laid in my fire station bunk going to bed that night, and I asked the Lord to come into my life, change me forever, become my Lord and Savior, which led me to, we were talking about verses earlier. First Bible verse I ever memorized was Matthew 4:19. And it was Jesus talking to an ordinary pack of workers, of men, and saying, "You want to fish? Drop those nets, and I'll teach you to be a fisher of men." And so I was only a year into my faith, and I was asking people, "Well, how do I live now? Like, what do I do next?" And they said, "Well, serve God, and chief end of man is know God and enjoy Him forever." And I decided, hey, there's a bunch of 18, 19-year-old guys that need to hear this too. And I had a wood shop. And so God put a vision on my heart He gave me a clear vision of a big shop with young men working and coming to know the Lord. and I started a journey and started something in Birmingham called Manufacture Good, and I ran that for 12 years. And so we got to train, equip, and invest in the lives of over 100 and something young men's lives, offer them employment, and then train them for 3 or 4 months, sometimes longer if it was what was needed. And we'd send them out in the marketplace. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I mean, we were YouTubing all these woodworking projects. I think one year we almost sold $2 million worth of furniture. God gave us a 1-car garage to start up this thing in, and you could barely, park a Dodge Chrysler in that thing. And the next thing I know, we had 18,000 square feet of office and shop space, and it's been a cool journey. And work is just the medium that God has showed me again and again that revival's happening, and it's hard and it's good and it's all the things. But yeah, that's my story. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I mean, you're building this is basically, I mean, a ministry to these men, but it's also a business.
Yeah.
And so, as I hear you saying the things that you're taking from that you're bringing to a company, there is a spiritual component to it, but there's some logistical components to it. I think we all often forget, like when you're doing ministry and you're getting to equip these guys' lives, you're also having to do all the day-to-day stuff of running a business.
Yeah, and the way it was structured in the beginning, we set up as a nonprofit, and so on top of all those things, learning how to share the story, connect with donors, see generosity. I mean, a million stories from that season, but one of the my favorite stories is two brothers, and their one inheritance was this huge building downtown Birmingham. They came and found me in the 1-car garage, and they donated the space to us. I mean, and we've done just amazing. God brought electrician. I called the wrong number one time, and it was the electrical school, and they brought 20 electrician students and rewired the building for free. We put a roof on the building. I mean, like, the stories go on and on and on of just the miracles. But yeah, I learned operating is and being a person of faith it's a big challenge. So every one of my lessons and one of the things, everything I get to share with people, I try not to be too prescriptive, but at the same time, like, hey, this is what I needed when I was in the throes of running something and having a staff and really not knowing what I was doing and really asking God for wisdom. And so, yeah, it's tricky running something when you're trying to do ministry at the same time. Yeah.
Ride the bicycle that you're building, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so everything about what you're saying is just a heartwarming story. The love that you have for the people is what actually created the work. Like, it's like, hey, this was me. Let me create something that I would have needed, my 19-year-old self.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're watching all of these seeds being planted. You spoke of challenges. Like, there has to be more not just with the logistics. There has to be more challenges that with the people, because you're talking about, I worked in schools for quite some time. So when you're talking about coming out of high school,
Yeah.
some skills, not a lot of life skills, right?
Right.
And having to navigate that. So can you talk to us about the challenges of the people that you tend to work with, that maybe show up?
My favorite job, that I've ever had was getting to go on the shop floor and be with the guys. That reminded me a lot of my rookie school days in the fire department. You go to training for 10 weeks and they break you down, build you up, and you walk out of there a different person. That was always my favorite part. The trickiest thing for me was, and the most challenging was, how do we operate this as a business and let our yes be yes? And, we're signing real contracts with people and saying, hey, we have a podcast. We need this table by this date. And then, so you're trying to drive that relationship and also bring them into the story. and then you're taking a group of folks that really don't know what they're doing, and that's the whole point, right? And at the end of it, you've got to deliver that table, and it's all got to come together. As we grew, I think one of my biggest challenges was just, bringing in people that could help run everything, and that had other habits and, just different expectations, all amazing people. But that's tricky, right? Because when you're running a ministry, you attract people that want to wring their lives out for the Lord.
Right.
But also, when you're running a business, you have to make efficiency happen. And, we're going from a Bible study or, gospel-centered conversation to next is, hey, you respond to that email? Right. So it was all of that. And that got really taxing and tricky at times. And, those days where, this time of year is notorious for being a slow fundraising season. If for those in ministry, that, or in the nonprofit world. And, there's times where it got really lean, and I was looking at all these people going, these people I love and care about. And like the traditional model, when you're running, just a for-profit, black and white P&L statement business, you have to let people go. And so it was just all of these things of trying to walk out our faith and saying, like, Lord, what do you want us to do right now? And there was also times where I tried to grab it too tightly and do this thing. So it was just a trial by fire leadership lesson all the way across the board for over a decade. And it was sweet though. I mean, it was super sweet. Got to pass that off, and the guy that we started one of my lieutenants at the fire station is the one that donated that one car garage, if you remember back.
Mm-hmm.
He's now the new executive director. So we've come full circle.
Wow.
And we talk, a couple times a week, and I get to still share with the apprentices. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big transition. I mean, it's something you spent
Mhm.
over a decade building that you hand off, and then you move your family to a new town. Talk to me about the decision to do that, and what's been wonderful, what's been a challenge, and starting a new thing too. Kind of
Yeah.
going back to the square one at some level.
Yeah. Changing jobs, moving towns. Like, there's nothing easier than that, right? As an adult, new school, all that stuff. It's been an amazing journey. God's faithfulness is shown through literally every day in it. Going from running something, and because in a lot of ways, I gave up the fire department in 2017. So I had been through a big transition. Manufactured good, went from the one car to a real organization. And I hit a crossroads there where I had to choose between fire department or running the shop. And I think I chose well, left a job that I really love in the fire department, did that. So I'd been through some transition, but as a family, we haven't been through a transition like that. And so, yeah, we love Chattanooga. I also love Birmingham. My mom, my sister's still down in Birmingham, and my roots are there. I know where all the grocery stores are. I know where my hardware stores are, all that stuff. By the way, speaking of Chick-fil-A, Chattanooga needs more Chick-fil-A's, period. That's one of my biggest hot takes about Chattanooga. I can't find them. I need it.
You gotta drive.
I need it. Yeah, so it's healthy fast food is the way my kids think about it. But it's just been different. I mean, we bought a house this time last year, and so I've spent a lot of time renovating that, and just going through the transition of, one of my goals was always to pass off that ministry. But you're never ready for a big transition like that. So there's been a lot of hard work that I've had to do, and a lot of great people I've gotten to lean on through it. And I'm excited. I know that I'm an entrepreneur. I know that I'm geared to build and grow. Maintaining is just not my jam. And so for me, that's been the challenges of going from getting 100 emails a day to like 50 to 20 to 4 in the ministry. Every time the phone rings, I'm like, hey, you need to talk to my buddy Tim. like all of those things. It's just been letting go and letting go and letting go, and it's been freeing though. Yeah. So now when I get to go to the shop, I just get to high five the guys.
Right.
You know, say sorry about that lumber order that got messed up. Like, I'll see you guys. Just kidding. I still get to help them, but my new work, it's just me, and I'm getting to go work with my clients, and that's been really different but really fun. And so I'm kind of high speed, low drag in a lot of ways, and it's different, but it's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was actually just talking to Jonathan about that. Like the liberation after you've built something successful, you've passed it on.
Yeah.
You still can be kind of attached to the work because you care about it, right?
Oh yeah.
But I'm a builder too. Like I'm not like I'm a Lego. I can build it. You can come knock it down. I don't even care. I just wanted to build it,
Sure.
right? But there's something that motivated me to do that. I want to know what that is in you. What is it? What is it that's your motivator, your driver? Not just for you and your family. Like you have something that's deeply seated in seeing other people's lives be better.
Yeah, I've been a student of builders for a long time, and I'm blown away by the work faith movement and seeing people come alive through building an organization. I got to be a part of something called Praxis in 2016, and that changed my mind on a global perspective of there's some really big problems. All these things we're building are meant to solve a problem for a customer, for a refugee, an orphan, whatever it is. Like, I enjoy seeing people's lives enriched through someone's idea, and God's created me to be a visionary, and he gives me the freedom to run with that. And then I get to meet all these amazing people like you guys. And so that drives me. I mean, I never know who's around the next corner. I never know, like, even coming up here. I mean, the first two companies I talked to were like, hey, look at our whiteboard. And the main thing they had on the whiteboard was we need to figure out training in 2025. And I'm like, well, I love training. I'll be your guy. Or great. Like, I didn't have to I didn't have to try with that. God just put it in front of me. And for me, that's really what drives me is he's ever since 2011, he has shown me that he has geared me to dream and to go build and come alongside other people. And my favorite builders do the same thing. I mean, one of my mentors, one time I went to him, and he was a donor for us too. And I went to him and I'm like, hey, we need this thing or whatever. And he's like, I'm like, do you need a business plan? He goes, what's that? This guy's super successful. And he goes, if it can't fit on this index card he had on his table, like, don't bring it to me. And so I basically wrote down, I want to help men. We need this thing. And he's like, done. So just seeing the people of faith come alive and help each other drives me. It's really special. I mean, I'm sure y'all talk to people all the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what you're getting to do is as you're helping them build a plan or values.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure as you're doing that, your faith is driving how you're pushing them in a direction. As you've worked in your company and your nonprofit, now helping businesses, what are some values specifically for like a blue collar setting that you think are really important that companies, when you see a flourishing company, that you see is evident in their employees or in the culture that they've created?
Yeah, I think humility is a huge one. Humility, my favorite blue collar company, they're all super humble. But in the workforce, there's this thing that I see where I'm supposed to know this thing already. And so you've got these, a lot of younger guys coming into the trades and gals coming into the trades. And it's like, you have to fake it till you make it. And with the more experienced folks, unless you ask in the right way, they're going to just kind of hold on to that. Not all the time, but I see that as like one of my clients, Metro Plumbing. They say build from humility, craft excellence, right? Those things are super important in the blue collar setting, because the average age craftsman in America is 47 years old. And so you got to think about all that's happening out there, like all these projects. I mean, Mike Rowe talks about this stuff. He's definitely an inspiration to me. But there's hundreds of thousands of these blue collar jobs that are open, and they're having trouble filling it. And so there's a big swing. I don't know, it was like when y'all were in high school, but for me, it was everybody needs to go to college. Well, now that narrative's changed through a lot of the nonprofit sector's work and a lot of the workforce development folks of saying, hey, 4 years great, but so are the trades. But it's not happening at a fast enough pace. And so if a company brings someone in and they have that humility to say, hey, we don't care where you're starting, we care where you're going. And they've set that up to where there's more of an earn and learn model. I've seen that as one of the most important factors, because if you're looking for that silver bullet, that unicorn employee, like you ain't ever gonna stop looking, because they're gonna become less and less accessible just because of the skills gap that we face.
I read somewhere that in the next 20 to 30 years, we need something like 80,000 plumbers.
I saw that.
Like, and I'm like, who's answering that call right now? Right.
Yeah, and ChatGPT ain't gonna fix our plumbing anytime soon. But if they do, I mean, that'd be pretty good.
But it actually impacts our economic wealth gap, though, because hate to go economic here, but like if we need 80,000 plumbers and the blue collar companies meet the need of developing that, there's going to be a gap where a lot of plumbers with certain certifications are going to be able to make a lot of money, because that shortfall, that means you're waiting to get your toilet fixed for 6 weeks, right? Or you're paying $450 an hour or something ridiculous, right?
Yeah, and we're already seeing it, and it's a superpower if you know how to fix things. These service companies are doing really well right now, and it's interesting. There a lot of the private equity world is, again, just in the circles I'm running in, they're really taking a long look at all these roofing, plumbing, HVAC companies, these service companies, because I mean, just this week, Google launched a whole new suite of AI products. It's happening every single day. And so the tech world's changing rapidly, but the toilets are
still toilets.
Toilets are still toilets.
I can fix toilets. Maybe I need to.
That's next.
That's
your next transit.
That's my next transit. I mean, thank you for that. Like, no, seriously though, but I think that
Weekly Saints Plumbing.
Listen.
Diversify.
Like diversification, no matter for you. I think though that in all seriousness that is such a but that's even such a God thing, right? That you're able, you said you're a visionary. That's God is giving you to see, and others in your lane to see what the need is, to be able to develop the people that are coming into your training course or cohorts or however you do it, or the companies that you partner with, so that then the world can be prepared for where we're headed. I think that's an amazing opportunity for you. So
thanks.
You have a verse that you cling to a lot in your work?
Yeah, I mean, Matthew 4:19 is
so good.
It's just, to me, there's so many layers to it. I think about those guys fishing, and they sacrificed everything to. I mean, think about that. Like, somebody walked in here right now and said, "Y'all turn off these microphones, follow me, and we'll go change the world." And they did it. And so the faith of that, and we're proof that was the right call to make, was to drop their nets, go fishing for people.
It's fascinating what COVID did. Oftentimes we think about what meaningful work is, and the stories we often hear are the big CEOs or but COVID showed us the essential workers, the ones that were essential, were the folks on the ground, doing the work. So I would love to know that someone who spends a lot of time working with people who have dedicated their life to that, whether by choice or by circumstance, that have built trades, that are working from a place of humility. What do you want people to know about blue collar workers What are some of the misconceptions?
That they're uneducated, and that's the last thing I would say.
Yeah.
It's they are brilliant, and they love their families big. They're the backbone of our society, and we're in trouble if we don't support. I mean, folks are just think about it. Think about if something goes wrong at your house, and when that person walks up to your door, like, think about how much they know about said topic.
Yes.
And how many years that takes, how many busted knuckles that took to learn, and that workforce is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was at a shop the other day, and they were building like a training studio, and they were basically building a house inside of this warehouse so that they could practice on stuff. And I was watching this guy, and he didn't write down anything. He literally laid out all the measurements in his head. And before you know it, and one day I was helping him out a little bit here and there. We had built a 22 square foot foundation of a house, and I'm like pretty familiar with woodworking.
Yeah.
And I'm under the old adage of measure once, cut 3 times, cuss 12 times. Like, right? Like, this guy laid it all out and he executed it, and it was like watching a symphony. He had all these guys helping him, and everybody kind of knew their deal. Like, it was a master's in delegation. Like, it was a master's in math. Like, and I would assume this guy doesn't have his master's degree in anything, but he's got his master's degree in life, and he's been, a master at what he's been doing for so long. And so there's stories like that day in, day out. The guys I worked with in the shop, I would always be blown away. When we'd sit down and we read a piece of paper, they might struggle. But if we got our hands moving, it was like, you're brilliant.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times, and I think the culture's shifting in that, where we see that as of importance again. But yeah, these guys are doers too. These guys and gals, they don't understand this kind of world, right? They're like, there's a problem. My neighbor needs help. Let's go fix it.
We don't have to theorize about it. We don't have to have a focus group about fixing the toilet.
We don't have to have a meeting about the meeting about the meeting and compare calendars. And they don't know what Calendly is. These guys just come in and they get it done. And so they're doers who are brilliant.
You don't have to have a master when you have to plan from the master.
That's right.
Right? Those skills, those abilities, those talents, those gifts, only God can give.
Yeah.
He made the comment that a lot of what they learn, you can see it in their hands from the scars and the palaces. And man, I don't know why it got me thinking about this, Jesus being a carpenter must have was like.
Yeah.
And, I can imagine he hit his fingers a few times with a hammer and had a few scars. And the Bible doesn't talk about those scars. It does talk about some other scars that he had on his side and his hands. And in his renewed body, he still had signs of those scars in his renewed body. And I can just imagine that God's even renewing those scars, right? The scars on his hands and what that means for the carpenter today, that God's renewing, even that the things they're doing now is a picture of God's renewal to come. And that's so cool that this is your vision for folks, and you get to serve them and care for them. And it's not just individual, but for businesses to see them flourish. And that's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing about what God's put on your heart and what you're getting to do.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Thank you for that was appreciated.
LaQuisha, Lauren Sheffield has a great story.
An amazing story, one that is going to touch so many lives. I sat here and I'm listening, and I kind of asked him a question around training because that's what my curiosity was. But when he said he likened the fishermen, he called them workers. When he first started talking about that scripture in Matthew, he said the workers had their nets, but that they were given a charge to basically drop all the things and go and faithfully trust God. And that's like the root of his training. That's like, I understood that on so many different levels. His passion for training people, for developing people through his own life experience.
Yeah, his skills and his giftings and his passions come from his own story. Working in the fire hall, helping others with the carpentry business. And in those moments, those mundane things, it wasn't in the temple, but in those mundane things is where he found Jesus. And that drove him. And now what drives him in his work is bringing young men to know Jesus through the everyday work of being a carpenter.
That's another level of discipleship. I don't think, I don't know. I don't want to discount our other guests, but I don't think I've heard it so clearly explained that, like, yes, this was my process. I got, the gospel presented to me. I fought it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I went back and laid in my bunk at the fire hall and knew that I needed to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. So much so that it's going to be the root cause of all the work that I'll do from this point on.
Yeah. And you can tell he's really leaned into who he is as a man and naming the fact that he's a visionary. And I think one of the things that stood out to me about his vision, though, isn't somewhere out there. His vision was to see more clearly in what was right in front of him.
Yes.
And I think that's such a good reminder that vision isn't always something that's in the clouds far away, but it's knowing what's right in front of you and walking in with purpose towards it.
Listen, this was a blessed episode. I know that it's going to be a blessing to everybody.
To everyone, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed it. We're really excited you're tuning in. It's just an honor to have you be a part of this conversation. God has you right where you're at. I hope you can have a vision to see how he's calling you to honor him in the work you're doing even today. Stay tuned for the next episode of Weekday Saint Podcast.